Today, I'm going to show how to extend my Wi-Fi network from the city to a cottage house through my own example. Step by step, I will explain you what to do, what is needed, and explain you all the tricky moments and nuances. I wanted to set up an internet connection at my cottage, but there was no any cable carrier available. 3G internet wasn't a good option for three reasons. The first is that in the evening the speed of the internet would decrease. The second is the limited amount of megabytes available. The third reason is the high price of 3G internet. That is why I decided to extend the Wi-Fi network from the city to the cottage with the help of the wireless Wi-Fi bridge. I found advertisements of the needed hotspots NanoStation M5 and bought them. The manufacturer says that these hotspots can transmit 100 megabytes up to 13-kilometer distance. In my case, the distance was even shorter, but the growth of the trees interfered with the internet transmission. In order to define the best high-res to transmit the internet from, I climbed the roof of the cottage, took a camera with high-quality zoom and checked roofs of what buildings were well observed. Then, with the help of satellite view pictures, I identified the address of the nearest high-rise to my cottage, which is the most suitable option. Although I chose the place to set up an internet connection, to find an internet service provider that would agree to set up an internet connection on such specific conditions was a more challenging task. I called lots of offices of internet service providers in that area, but the office workers either would say that they don't understand me or that they don't provide such services. The key to solving this problem was to make a deal with the worker who sets up internet connection, not with the office workers. One day I saw a Kreosan worker who was setting up internet connection for some new clients. I approached him and asked if he could connect my NanoStation to the internet in order for me to be able to transmit the internet to my cottage. He said that it wouldn't be a problem for him, and we agreed to meet near the needed for me building. Thanks to this cooperation, at least 3 problems were gone. The first resolved problem was that I didn't need to find a way to get to the roof of the building, because the worker himself opened the way for me to go there. The second resolved problem was that he allowed me to use a socket that was inside the internet supply unit. I needed socket because I had to supply my NanoStation hotspot with electricity. The third resolved problem was resolved within 15 minutes. I managed to set up the connection and my personal account I would have to use to pay for the internet services. I chose the needed tariff. I just had to attach the NanoStation to the pole on the building, point it to the cottage, and set the router mode in the NanoStation settings because it would transmit the internet. I also had to set up the settings the internet service provider told me about: the password, username, internet connection, PPOE. Finally, a miracle happened. Now my NanoStation hotspot transmitted 100 megabyte free internet at the low city cost. For good measure, we exchanged our phone numbers with the Kreosan worker. He told me to call him if some problems would arise and that he would help me to solve them. After that, I went to the cottage to check the results and how the internet would work there. Having arrived to the cottage, I found out that the signal was even better than I expected it to be. The NanoStation hotspot showed 3 out of 4 on the scale right in a room near the window. If I placed it on the roof, it would show the maximum level of signal perception. The time to check real speed came. Although I set up 100 megabyte internet, the speed test showed a little less than 100 megabytes. In spite of this, all the websites I browsed opened very fast. Not only did I watch HD videos without time lags, but also 4K videos. Thanks to the low ping, the video and voice quality in Skype was also very good. All of that was available at the low city cost. When I showed my neighbors and friends how the internet connection worked, they couldn't believe that it was possible in a semi-abandoned cottage, because even 3G internet coverage was very poor there. It is not surprising that the neighbors wanted to set up the same internet connection. I decided to give it a go, because the manufacturer claims that up to 100 users can connect to the NanoStation hotspot. Although I may not find 100 people, but I still can manage to find about 10. I bought the needed amount of NanoStation and Nano bridges through the same internet retailers. I placed them on the roof of my friends' houses. By the way, some NanoStation hotspots could be connected to 2 houses at the same time because they have 2 LAN ports. One of my friends lived in a very inconvenient place because there was no line of sight, so I decided to make a separate wireless bridge for him. Besides, I got two 2 and 4 GHz nanostation hotspot, so I decided to use it. All of my friends were connected to one single nanostation hotspot that was placed on a 9th floor building in the city. I assumed that a lot of connected users would decrease the average internet speed, because only one hotspot transmitted the internet. What's remarkable about it is that even when all the friends connected to the hotspot, the speed was still high and did not decrease even when users were the most active. It can be explained by the fact that the channel the internet was transmitted through was very large. This Wi-Fi network had already successfully worked for over 2 years at the moment of shooting. Its work capacity turned out to be surprisingly stable. Not only didn't one nanostation break down, but it didn't even delay in transmitting. There was no internet only in case if the power supply would be cut off or we would forget to pay for the internet services. It is remarkable that the cost of such internet is really low, because the user monthly fee has to be divided between 10 people. Besides being afraid of drops in the speed, I was also concerned that the antennas would get damaged in thunderstorm. On different forums I've read that they need to be grounded and lighting rods have to be set up. Out of my practice of 2 thunderstorm seasons, I can say that no antenna has been damaged. The Wi-Fi network worked well in those conditions. There was one more major challenge though for the Wi-Fi network. I live in Donbass region, a combat zone. As a result of fierce fighting, some of my friends' houses were severely damaged. During investigation of the results of the damages, I found out that no nanostation hotspot was damaged, although some of the buildings they were placed on were damaged. For instance, roofs of those buildings were damaged. Power supply in the village was cut off for about 6 months because practically all power lines were turned down. When electricians restored the power supply, the internet connection was restored too, with no interference from outside. There is a detailed discussion of the topic of ultra-long-range Wi-Fi with useful links and schemes in our community in Vkontakte. If you've got a question, join the discussion in the community or write your comments on YouTube. I will try to answer you. If this video becomes popular enough and gets a lot of thumb ups, I will shoot one more video about how to set up an ultra-long-range Wi-Fi network with the help of a do-it-yourself antenna.